How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. This is Mike. I'm here to do a two-part video. The first part is going to be a response to a new film chat topic that's going around, introduced by my friend Ian, All Things Film. And the second is going to be my list for the top 10 films of the previous decade, 2010 to 2019. So anyway, Happy New Year. Welcome to the year 2020. I think a lot of us are wondering what's going to happen with YouTube. I'm taking a wait-and-see attitude. So anyway, so here is my response to the topic. Ian came up with the question. He wanted to know, for those of us who are film freaks, what is our favorite genre and how did we get into that genre and how do we sustain our interest as the years go on. So I would always have said that horror films were my favorite genre for most of my life, really. And I think it's genetic with me because I got it all from my mother. My mother is responsible for all of my interest in old movies and especially horror films. She had such great stories as I was growing up, talking to my sister and me about going to the movies in her hometown. She grew up in a rather large city in the north of England, and like most city kids, she had the opportunity to go to the movies 2 or 3 times a week, because you just walk downtown in the city you live in. As opposed to those of us who grew up in very small towns where we didn't get to the movies that often. We had to get some adult to drive us. We didn't have that opportunity. So, yeah, it's funny, she always talked about American films. She never said anything about English films, but she loved the American horror movies. She was born in the 1920s, so in the 1930s when she was a teenager, she was seeing Dracula and Frankenstein and The Mummy, and she just loved those things. And she would talk about how much fun it was to walk home in the dark city streets after seeing these movies and thinking the monsters were around the corner. It was just wonderful. So I was ready to fall in love with these films before I ever saw them. And yeah, that's where I got it. Now, as far as do I still think of horror films as being my favorite genre, I would say no, I don't. I think that my interest in the old movies is still solid, 1930s up into maybe the mid-1960s. And I have kind of sort of a cutoff point when things started to get more gory and graphically violent, which I just don't get into. But I will say that I do every once in a while have a nice surprise, especially with some of the Asian horror films that have come out in recent years, which have a lot of terrific atmosphere, a lot of great scares, but they don't, at least a lot of the ones that I've seen, they don't have violence that is just so off-putting that it ruins the experience. And I do have a horror film in my stack of top 10 films here. So let me get into my list and, okay, see what you think. Starting off with the year 2010, I have chosen Winter's Bone, which had a star-making performance by a very young Jennifer Lawrence. It's all about a 17-year-old girl who is trying to find her father, who has gone missing. Her father has a criminal background, has been somebody who was involved in the methamphetamine manufacture and use. And this young woman is taking care of her sick mother and her little brother and sister. And they live in a culture, sort of the hill culture, the hill culture, the Ozarks of southern Missouri, northern Arkansas, which is, it's almost like another world. And they have their own set of values, their own set of rules and behavior and all this sort of thing. And she has to go on sort of an odyssey through this culture to try to find her father, because if she doesn't find him, they're going to lose their house. He was arrested. He put his house up as bail, and if he doesn't show up for the court date, or if she can't prove that he's dead, then they're going to lose the house. And anyway, it's a beautiful film, and Jennifer Lawrence is really good, I have to admit. Next up is a film from 2011, and I don't have this film. It's called Another Earth, which was directed by Mike Cahill, stars a young actress named Britt Marling, also William Maypother, who is Tom Cruise's cousin. And this is a fantastic movie. I've seen it twice. Can't believe that I don't yet have a copy of it. But it involves a young woman played by Britt Marling who is 17 years old, about ready to go off to college, have a whole terrific life ahead of her. She's at a party one night, makes the mistake of driving home when she's had something to drink, and she's also distracted by something she hears on the radio going home. They're talking on the news about this planet, the strange planet, which is becoming slowly more and more visible in the sky, and they're trying to figure out what this planet is all about and what's going to happen as it gets closer to the Earth. And so she's distracted by looking up in the sky and seeing the outline of this planet while she's also loaded, and she has a terrible accident. She crashes into a car that's sitting at a stoplight. 3 people are in the car, well, actually 4. There's a man who is put into a coma, and his wife, who is also carrying their unborn child. They are both killed, and their little boy, who's in the back of the car, he is also killed. So the young girl goes to prison, and what happens, the story is all about what happens to her, the choices she makes after she gets out of prison, and also interspersed with news about this planet, which they are finding out is a mirror of the planet Earth. So it's a fascinating film. It's a little bit of science fiction, but it's mostly a very human drama and very well acted, and highly recommended. Next up is from 2012, and this is the horror film I was telling you about. This is Barbarian Sound Studio. Very strange movie that I saw it at the theater when it first came out, and I've watched it many times now that I bought it. Let's see, what's this guy's name? Toby, an English actor named Toby. Oh boy. Toby Jones, sorry. Toby Jones, a very interesting actor, plays a sound effects expert from England who goes over to Italy to create the sound effects for this really graphic horror film. And he's a very shy, kind of a not terribly socially adept person who gets involved in a culture and an atmosphere that he feels trapped in. And he's just blown away by the ugliness of the film that he's looking at. And what's weird about it is the people watching this movie don't see any of the film within a film. We only hear the sound of the dialogue and the screaming and all that sort of thing, and we watch everyone's reactions to it. It's fascinating. Just really one of the best horror films I've ever seen, because you don't see a lot of violence. You're just sort of getting a feeling of it because of what other people are doing, and I just think it's terrific. Next up is a film called Nebraska. Bruce Dern in an Oscar-nominated performance about a man in Montana who thinks that he has won a contest giving him a bunch of money, and he has to go to Nebraska to pick it up. What he really got was one of those sort of generic notices that, oh, guess what, you have won if you just do this and this and this. He thinks he's actually won the money. Nobody can convince him otherwise, so he goes with his son. His son goes along with him because this man is slowly becoming a victim of dementia. And it's just another odyssey, another road trip. Very different, though, reflecting the relationship between the father and the son, the sort of death of the culture, of the small town culture in Nebraska that they go to. It's beautiful to look at, black and white cinematography, which in my opinion makes it worthwhile. Okay, next up is another film that I saw in one of my film classes. This is The Gift, which is a very interesting little human drama. Let's see, we have more of these actors. Oh boy, Jason Bateman, Rebecca Hall, Joel Edgerton, who also directed. He's slowly becoming one of my favorite modern actors. It's all about Jason Bateman and Rebecca Hall are a married couple who have just moved to LA. He's gotten a great job. They're going to have a lot of money, social prestige, great life. And when they're shopping for furniture or something in one of the local stores, a man comes up to them and he says that he knew this guy, Jason Bateman. Can't remember the names of the film. That they went to school together. He just came up to say hello. Well, Jason Bateman acts like he has no idea who the guy is. Well, as we find out that there was a lot more going on between these two guys in their past than what Jason Bateman's character would like us to believe. And the wife doesn't know what to believe at first. She thinks that this strange guy is probably a stalker. She's kind of afraid of him. But she begins to learn more and more about the truth
about what happened between these two men. It's a fascinating film, very well acted. Next up is from 20. What year is this? 2016. Patterson, directed by Jim Jarmusch, starring Adam Driver. It's impossible to describe what this film is about. Adam Driver, another one of my favorite actors, is a bus driver named Patterson, working in Patterson, New Jersey. And it's all about his daily routine as a bus driver, listening to and watching and observing the people that are on the bus, the people who are on the same route that he drives every day. And he's also a poet. The things that he sees, the things that he hears, they inspire him in his poetry. And slowly, for some reason, his routine begins to change, and he's no longer able to write poetry. It's a very interesting, quiet little film, which I would love to encourage a lot of people to see, just simply because it's so different. Okay? And guess what? I skipped a movie. I'm sorry. This is another movie that I don't have. This was for the year 2014. Sorry, I don't have it, so I just kind of skipped over the list. But this is an Irish film called Calvary, starring Brendan Gleeson as a Catholic priest, Father James, who at the beginning of the film is sitting in his confessional, and there's the man confessing behind the screen. This man says to Father James that he was sexually abused by a priest when he was a young boy, and he is so angry and so bitter. He intends to kill Father James the following week, a week from this date. He's going to kill Father James, not because he is an evil priest, but because he's a good priest. This man thinks that killing a good priest would do more harm to the church than killing an evil priest. So the story is about how Father James lives his life the next week, during the next week, anticipating what may happen to him and all the people in the parish and in the village that he gets involved with. It's a very well acted film. Another one that I saw it at the show, and then I saw it in my film classes following. So it's a very, very good film. Okay, so we've done, now we're up to 2017, and I've chosen this movie, Lean on Pete, which was kind of a sleeper of a film that, didn't get around very long. It stars a young actor named Charlie Plummer, and also has Chloe Sevigny and Steve Buscemi. Charlie Plummer plays a young guy who has kind of a chaotic lifestyle with his father, broken family, and all that sort of thing. He's kind of looking to find his way, and he starts working in for this man who keeps horses, and he falls in love with a horse by the name of Lean on Pete. He just loves this horse so much, and he finds out that the horse is going to be sold off and probably killed, and he's so distraught by that he actually kidnaps the horse. Sounds a little crazy, but it's a beautiful, beautiful film and well worth seeing. Lean on Pete. Next up, from the year 2018, this is Leave No Trace. Fantastic movie that also, I think this actually got some award nominations, and it really deserves to be seen. This actor, Ben Foster, I'll read you this. Will, played by Ben Foster, and his teenage daughter Tom, played by Thomasin Harcourt McKenzie, have lived off the grid for years in the forests of Portland, Oregon. When their idyllic life is shattered, both are put into social services. After clashing with their new surroundings, Will and Tom set off on a harrowing journey back to their wild homeland. Fantastic movie. Can't recommend it highly enough. It's beautiful to look at, and beautiful performances by everybody involved. Okay, and the final film from 2019 is another one I don't own. This is probably, it's not the last one I saw, but I saw it several weeks ago before it left town very quickly. It's the new film by Clint Eastwood. It's called Richard Jewell, and it's based on true incidences about the bombing during the 1996 Olympics in this country, and about the man who Richard Jewell, who was a security guard, who actually found the bomb before anybody else did, and he was able to get the area partly evacuated, saving a lot of lives. And it also tells a story about how he becomes first the hero, and then he becomes the chief suspect that is being accused of setting the bomb to get attention to himself and to become famous or something. And it's, as I said, it's based on true happenings, true people. The name of the actor who plays Richard Jewell is Paul Walter Hauser. He's fantastic. He does a fantastic job. Also stars Sam Rockwell, Kathy Bates, John Hamm, and Olivia Wilde. Kathy Bates is terrific. So that's Richard Jewell. I highly recommend it. I'll probably buy that film when I get a chance to. Those are my for the decade that we just ended, and I just dropped these all over the floor. Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome. Take care.